Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Discussing the Resilient podcast. This time we've got all three of us, me, Will, Aiden and Dave.
Hey everyone.
Craftworld Dave, as he seems to becoming known on the internet. So we've got a few things to discuss in this episode. So following on from the last one, we're going to obviously address the balanced data slate now it's out. We know what the points are, obviously the new meta that's going to emerge from it. And then also we've hit 5k subscribers, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. There we go. Yeah, Dave and Aiden are already excitedly dreading some of the things we might have to do to celebrate / humiliate ourselves.
Yes.
Just some general Death Guard chat as usual. So I don't know, Dave, do you want to start? How have things been since we saw you last?
Yeah, been really busy, so obviously super thankful to the community for 5k subscribers. It's absolutely amazing, and it feels like only yesterday we were talking about having our last little milestone, so I think that's been really great and a big testament to everyone out there, so thank you very much. But yeah, on a personal level, what have I been up to recently? So I might have gone and played 40k on YouTube live for a bit of madness, which was really fun, versus Stephen Box on Vanguard Tactics channel. So yeah, really good. Stephen's a good friend as well, so it was really nice to get down there, spend some time in the studio, and with Stephen, and then play an absolutely ludicrously crazy game of 40k live on YouTube. It was brilliant. Nice.
We won't give out the result on that one, so people can go and watch it, and no spoilers, and see how it all unfolded, but yeah, it was a very entertaining game. I think we can all agree with that one.
I think that's a fair way to put it. And hadn't had a run into Green Tide as well. Thankfully to one of the guys at my local club, who's got an enormous orcs collection and was able to actually put 120 boys on the table, as well as some mega knobs and a battle wagon as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool.
And what about you, Aiden? Have you been up to much since we saw you last?
So in general, not too much. Had a little break from playing Death Guard. Played Votan twice in my local club. But I do have an RT. I know. But I have an RTT coming up this weekend, which I'm taking the Death Guard. I have got my first round pairing, which we can talk about in a bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking my Death Guard, taking sort of my usual take all comers list to sort of like, I'm rusty. I'm going to be a bit rusty, so I'm just going to take the list I know, see how it does. But I'm looking forward to it. It'd be good to get 3 games in as Death Guard. So looking forward to that. Obviously, making some more videos and whatnot for the channel. As Dave said, their 5k sub has been hit, so that's really cool to see. So we're brewing up ideas for what our punishments / celebrations are going to be. So we'll see how that's going. But part of that, yeah, not too bad. Obviously, I had another stream with the Chaos Pantheon that we're doing, so with Red Path Dara and David, Zinch David, Sorcerer Dave from the Tizcam podcast. So we've done a second episode with those guys talking about the slate, so you can check that out on our lives. If you enjoy the content we do here, please click the like and subscribe button. If you really enjoy the content, you can consider becoming a member, and you get access to stuff like our Discord and whatnot. I'm just going to throw that out there because I actually remembered to do it in the most recent video, and it has record high likes. So I was like, oh, it does work. Begging for likes works. So I beggeth of you, viewer, give thy humble like.
and as we like to end up talking for about 2 hours at a time, it's probably a good idea to do this message at the beginning.
Yes, before we ramble off and forget. But yeah, part of that, hyped to go and play Death Guard at an event again. And looking forward to this. Looking forward is a strong word. To this new meta. I think it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But we'll get into that when we get into that.
How about you, Will? What have you been up to?
I've been cheating at Warhammer, it turns out. No. So I did actually. So I played Grey Knights, played my arch nemesis. I've actually recorded the video for my last GT where I got up the world's biggest spanking off Grey Knights ever. And so one of the lads from our team, a guy called Doug, he's a really good player. He normally goes 4-1 at events. He posted that his new army in our team chat, and it wasn't the list that had beat me, but it was very similar. It had sort of 4 of the baby carriers and all that kind of stuff. So I got a practice game against him. It went really well. I changed my tactics a lot and made it very close. But we had a conversation about can you rapid ingress if you go first in the third battle round in their turn? So obviously after your third turn, but still in the third battle round. So we sort of went backwards and forwards on that, and we sort of got a bit We worked out you couldn't, but I'd already lost to Carnivore, and I'd outflanked all the Carnivores at the start of the game and Typhus, and then he was like, you've got to bring it all in now then, so put it on the board, and he was like, well, that one as well, and then we put the dead one back on, and played the game out, and then it got to a point where it looked very definitive to me, and then we were like, oh, we may as well just stop there, we won't waste our time playing this out, and then like just after we packed the models away, he was like, hang on, but it still would have been kind of fearful to me, I think. But at the same time as it definitely wasn't definitive. He was taught the other things he could have done, and so we're both a bit a bit annoyed that we didn't play the game through. So my tactics of what I've done are correct, but you can't
one CP, bring back a
War Dog will one CP reinforcement.
yeah. So I've definitely got more of a grasp of playing Grey Knights now. But I did accidentally cheat. That was a bit comical. But apart from that, not an awful lot. Getting ready for the event Aiden's playing at the weekend is a Team Stonehammer event. So it's my team, Hosted Element Games. So I'm TO in that. So we're just getting ready for that really. And obviously I don't play in them or anything like that. And not very much.
Sounds like you shouldn't really after what you just described as well.
That's it, yeah. Oh, yeah, if I'd have been TO in that. And I mean, if I was TO in that, I'd been the night back.
Yeah, here was his extra War Dog.
He comes back 5 times, yeah.
I like it. Each turn, you can just bring him back if he's destroyed.
Yeah, it's when your death models just come back. So that's what always happens, isn't it? Yeah, it was a very, very comical when I found that one out. We were both... At first, we were both like... The annoying thing was... We were at a point where nothing had really changed, but we taught the game out as if this extra knight was there.
That was part of the game, yeah.
Yeah, but if we'd have just left it, we would have realised, hang on, we don't need to talk this through, let's just move that back, and then we'll continue as if that wasn't there. And the game...
It's funny.
Yeah, could unfold very differently, so I felt a bit stupid after realising that. But like I say, I've just been the butt of a few jokes in our chat, so it's so yeah, just one of these things. When you embarrass yourself, you've got to tell more people about it. That's my
you've got to just own it. Yeah.
That's my attitude. But yeah, I mean, I suppose I don't know. Talk about embarrassing yourselves. I mean, has Games Workshop's embarrassed themselves with the balanced data slate? I don't know if this is. It's obviously a hot topic at the moment. I mean, I suppose what are your guys' thoughts? I mean, I've got some thoughts on this. Obviously, to sort of set it up, I guess the context being the top armies have definitely had a nerf. The bottom ones probably could have had a little bit more. And then has the internal balance been changed across the game? And then in terms of internal balance, why did some armies get internal balance when they either maybe did or didn't need it? And other armies just got overlooked. I mean, I don't know which one of you wants to sort of take the lead on this. Aiden, maybe?
So if you want to summarise my reaction to it in like as little words as possible, it would be I'm okay with it, but I'm sure as hell confused by it. As Death Guard, we got no points rises, and the Hellbrute came down 10 points. It's a wash. Although at 130, at least it now shares like a slot with a Predator, and I could see putting it in maybe rather than before. I'm like, it's more than a Predator. So okay, I might try one out again at some point. Probably not the meta for it right now, but we'll see. But the confusing parts that comes in are the changes that were done just kind of confuse me, because we look at the armies that were top. We got stuff like Sisters, we got stuff like Necrons. These are all armies that were set at the top of the leaderboard, looking really strong. And then they came in and they did some points changes. They brought, they nerfed some things, confusingly not some things. Canoptic Wraiths, hint hint. But they were like, oh, the Technomancer's the problem. I was like, yeah, sure, because it definitely isn't the Wraiths that the problem. Everyone was taking Technomancers with the Mortals, weren't they? So that was confusing. But then the thing that was a little more confusing is the factions have already doing really well. They nerfed the really good units, but then they gave them like compensation buffs to like the less used units. Fair enough, and that would be fair enough if it was in its own, like if that was the consensus they took with every army. However, they didn't, and some armies just got jack shit. Chaos Knights, now don't worry, Chaos Knights are a hard one to do, I understand, but Chaos Demons got absolutely nothing. Half their roster doesn't even ever see the lights of the table. You could easily have dropped units that probably wouldn't see competitive play, but at least might be able to make people take them at a casual level. AdMech got points drops again, which is ludicrous. I get it wasn't on stuff people were taking, but again, what does it actually change then? Nothing really. There's a lot of factions that have had like this done to them. Like Sisters took nerfs, but then got other stuff point drops. So it's like you've took the powerful factions at the top. All you've done is like side grade the list that they're going to be taking, but their position at the top hasn't changed. Whereas you have armies like demons who are sat in the middle / lower bracket, who got literally no changes and don't go anywhere. Like Thousand Sons. Why did Thousand Sons get drops? Thousand Sons were already one of the top performing armies.
Yeah.
And they nerfed 2 enhancements for it, but then dropped like all like the chaffy stuff on like Terminators. Like, don't get me wrong, people weren't running Terminators. I get that. It's nice to get more inclusion. But when you got armies like have a good, strong, viable build, and they're still up there, and you have other armies that are just generically struggling to go 3-2-4-1, and they get nothing, it's just mind-boggling. And then I won't even talk about CSM because you've got something to say on that one, Will, and I do agree with you because it's no sensical. But for now, I'm going to pass you back to Dave before I rant on too long. Because again, I'm okay with it. I'm happy we didn't get nerfed, but I'm sure as hell confused by it.
Yeah, I mean, from a selfish perspective, I'm the same as you. I'm totally happy that we didn't get touched. And I
80 points.
Yeah, exactly. But as I continually tell anybody that says that, when they're like, yes, it's this, I'm like, yes, but we haven't got any lone op. Yes, we can only get infiltrate if we bring Nurglings in. So for me, I'm actually really, really okay with it. I'm with you, though, I think, from a selfish perspective, we're at 50% win rate, 49.7, whatever it is, in the overall meta. I get why we were kind of left alone. And I think also everybody's, from the other factions and other specialists I've talked to and other players, they're all kind of quite happy. I think where Death Guard is from a rules mix perspective and things that it doesn't, it's not that our sicknesses actually all just allow us to play the game now, and you know, and if you play it well, it can be really, really punishing, but equally it's not killing every matchup. So I think that's a good thing. To build on some of the bits you talked about, I think the other one is Blood Angels. Like, why did they get points increases on Death Company when they weren't exactly destroying the meta?
Death Company were all over the place. Like, I think Death
Company. Here's my question.
But it's stopping Blood Angels being Blood Angels. There's even more now. This list, like you're seeing Blood Angels players having to taking armored divisions.
So very
Sanguinary Guard came down loads. So.
They did, but my problem I have with this is, again, it's not consistent. You have got 30 Sanguinary Guard. Do you know what else was unit taking 3 lots of maximum sizes? Wraiths. So do we nerf the Chaplains or do we nerf the Wraiths? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? Because if we follow the logic used for Necrons, Chaplains are the problem. Everyone's taking Chaplains. Levatis is the problem. And we shouldn't really touch Death Company, but instead, they got nerfed. They got both nerfed on the lines and everything. But, it, again, just confuses me. It's like, I get it, like, I get Death Company were everywhere, and they probably were a little bit too good. But again, it's like I don't want to end up like Dark Angels, where like, yes, there's a viable Dark Angels build. No, it doesn't use any of the unique Dark Angels units.
They're just losing their flavours. It's just becoming like, and also Blood Angels were not just trouncing all the GTs. Like, yes, they were difficult if you came into them, like, and yes, they were a horrible matchup and stuff, but everything's got a horrible matchup at some point. And I'm not disagreeing with your points there. I just think personally, I don't think it was needed on that front. And, you know, they're also talking about side grading stuff. I think if you look at Astra Militarum, they had some points increases, hikes on some of the indirect, but that wasn't really the problem. I think, as we've talked about before, it's like what it does exactly is more the problem. And also, if your traditional build becomes more expensive because your indirect's gone up, I think what we're going to see is those lifts shift into like Lehman Russes, and just we'll get tons of those on the table instead.
It's like Kazakin got nerfed because they were like, Kazakin's too strong.
Scions or
but they dropped Scions, so it's like, all you've done is literally just gone this out, this in, and nothing's changed.
Absolutely. So, you know, those are my ones. You've already covered demons and, you know, kind of knights. I mean, Templars also. I mean, Templars were doing well, but were they once again being such a problem that the thing that makes things that makes them
Storm.
Yeah, but I mean, I think from them taking like Swordbread and stuff like that, those things that are flavoursome to that going up, does that stop people taking it now? It's more on the vein of the points changes continuing to de-individualise the Space Marine factions, I think, is kind of a recurring theme that we're kind of seeing here, where then it's shrinking into a. If you're taking a Space Marines build, then you're taking Ironstorm, and it's going to look like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is they're taking it right because it's the most effective thing in. But if you're a Blood Angels player, you should have something more. You should be able to take something more Blood Angel-y themed. Ideally, I know it's more complicated than this, but to the table where you can play the faction that you really like and it feels like your faction.
The way I'd see it is a unit like Death Company. Let's say if Death Company could be taken by all Marines or an equivalent unit, I'm okay if for any other chaps with Blood Angels they would cost like, I don't know, 300 points. But in Blood Angels the equivalent unit costs 270 because it's kind of like flavoured to be... Yeah. I want them to be incentivized to take that unit because they should be like it should be their thing. Yeah. But again, it's a big issue with how Marines in general and points are done at the moment. Like everyone sharing the same points, it doesn't work because what is good for one can be awful for another. But then Jimmy, who was running it in his fun list, he's running the Imperial Fist attachment. He's having a great time with his unit. That's just so happens to be really strong at Blood Angels. Now the Blood Angels got nerfed, and poor Jimmy, who was already at a 20% win rate, is now even worse position because hey ho.
Yeah.
But again, that's a whole kind of worms. I don't want to open up that one. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, and one probably to talk about later as well is because I was talking about it with Stephen again over at BT was what do everyone think about bringing back Force Org?
That's it.
About forcing people to have like troops.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to take tanks, you got to take Spearhead detachment. If you want, like we had at the end of 9th, and bring that to basically reduce the spamming of 3 of the best units. Race.
I don't know, to be honest, about the Force Org one. I think there's benefits, but then you're back to the haves and have-nots with some armies having taxes. I mean, what they should maybe do is, which I don't know, I think they have in previous editions, maybe armies should get their own bespoke sort of Force Org detachment with the Codex. I don't know, because I think the Force Org thing, it was good, but then there was, like I say, some armies would just like. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, we have good troops, so we would take Plague Marines anyway. Then you had that awkward thing where you were trying to like fit elites in, and then it was this elite or this elite. Where because we have so many elites in our elite section, other armies. You know what I mean? Like, there was times that you wanted some of the Virion to be an actual like HQ, so you could make list work that I used to find in the previous sort of list building iterations. But yeah, I don't know. That is a really good one though, Dave. I mean, talk about sort of like Force Org charts and. So I think maybe it's at least sort of forcing people to sort of bring more units because they are sort of, I don't know, like they did it with demons, didn't they? Effectively, it's not a Force Org, but it's like a tax, it's like a unit tax. You can only take this if you take that. Like maybe they should do something like that with vehicles, where for every X amount of vehicles you have to have X amount of infantry or something. But I don't know, it all gets a bit sort of, I suppose because they're trying to simplify the game. I guess you're sort of moving back towards. Sort of adding in rules that sort of restrict list building, and I guess if those list building,
I like the fact that people are free to build what they want, but the issue that I personally have with it is I just want to have an incentive or like a reason not to just cherry pick the best 3 units. Now, I don't want to see this come over directly, but I don't know if any of you keep up at all about Age of Sigmar, because the new edition of Age of Sigmar is doing a really interesting thing where basically. Characters, when you bring a character, the character brings alongside it a detachment, but characters can only bring certain units that are thematic to them along with them. So, for example, if we brought a Lord of Virulence, you could bring like Terminators or PBCs because they're thematic to him. Right. You're still allowed to take any unit you want, but they come in as it's called an auxiliary unit. And at the start of the game, I think it's at the start of every battle round. If you have less auxiliary units than your opponent, so if you've built your army thematically around like the characters and taking stuff, you get an extra command point every battle round. So in the game, you have 5 extra command points over your opponent, which I thought was a really cool way of like being able to like, look, you are still free to build, cherry pick the best things you want, but if Jimmy over there can build a strong list that sticks to a sort of narrative balance theme, he gets an extra bonus. Yeah. So I'm not punishing you exactly for you taking what you want, but I'm rewarding him for doing the opposite and for taking more thematic force. And I get that's kind of 50-50, but I miss Force Org because I like playing toolbox take all comers list. So for me, there's no downside. I don't like spam lists, and at the moment, the game is full of spam free. Wraiths, Dread Knights. It's just mega knobs now. And it's kind of lame. I won't lie. To me, it's lame. Okay, I bring 3 Plague Burst Crawls, but that's the only triple of anything I bring, and it's just because it's such a unique unit that suits my playstyle of defensive. The other thing I've suggested before is potentially increasing tax on multiples of units. So the first one's 150, the second one 170, the third one 190. So again, incentivize you bringing more. That could again be an issue if you're playing Votan, who just don't have enough units, and you're going to get taxed to shit. But swings and roundabouts. But it is what it is, and I think right now, especially 10th edition, especially in a singles format, the game is quite rock paper scissory. And the attachments kind of take that to a new extreme, because again, one great example we're going to talk about is obviously Green Tide is going to become a large thing. We'll talk about the stats of that soon. But with Green Tide coming in, you need to prepare for Green Tide. The problem is that Iron Storm is also extremely strong, and those two lists are polar opposites. One needs you to kill tons of trash infantry, the other one needs you to kill vehicles. And you're going to have to pick your poison somewhere, guys. Yeah. And it's because... my worry as a toolbox take all comers list player is the more this game evolves, the more detachments come out, and the more people just go, okay, this is the vehicle detachment, all I do is take vehicles. I'm going to be stuck in a position where I have a take all comers list that is really struggling because it's just not a take all comers game.
I think there's truth to that. I was going to say, and I wouldn't say your list is as take all comers in terms of as skew as you would think. And I'm not saying that. Playing almost a devil's advocate, for example, how many vehicles do you have in your list? How many characters?
I have 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, 2 Bloat Drones, 2 Rhinos.
Yeah.
So character-wise, I have
3. So I'd say 7 vehicles. You're skewing into vehicles at that point. That's a lot of vehicles. If you think of a take all comers list in previous editions, I suppose if you take maybe it's because the Rhinos are transports.
Yeah.
How many characters do you have as well?
Oh, I have a lot of characters. That's a Death Guard thing.
That's a Death Guard thing, though.
That's what I mean. But if you go back to Force Orc, you'll have 3. So I'm not saying that
because bear in mind, we used to have the caveat for Virions where you could take 3 Virion characters for 1 elite slot. They did put that in, so it wasn't an issue for us about them.
Well, what I mean by this is, I think the game's always been quite spammy. I think what toolbox, it can mean different things. Whereas spam and toolbox... Because a toolbox list to me is that your list are toolbox because they don't just sort of skew into this type of damage or this type of defensive profile, but there's still some armies just Death Guard seem to always naturally just take more vehicles because it's mainly demon engines. Either that or it's infantry spam. You know what I mean? We don't have as many data sheets, but I think the game's always been a bit spammy. But I think at the moment there's no tax, which I think is where we're all agreeing. For example, if you want to, because for example, the 3 units of Mega Knobs, even on the old Force chart, you would have always been able to take that. But then, would you have been able to take that? I don't know what the other elite. Is there another elite knobs unit that Orcs also want to take? Mega Knobs, you could always take 3, but then because you could take 6.
No, there's normal knobs. There's normal knobs.
Oh, normal knobs. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I suppose, but then that's where it would have been. I don't know, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because I think that Iron Storm is the silly, the ridiculous spam where there's just no infantry at all. There isn't even 3 base means, and it's not, because vehicles used to be some fast attack, some heavy support. Do you know what I mean? So you'd still get a vehicle skew, but it was divided across. This is a fast vehicle. This is a shooty vehicle. This is a. Whereas now you can just take all shooty vehicles. So I guess that's back to where your list is take all comers, because you're not just taking all damage dealing vehicles, transports. And the Plague Burst Crawlers do have a different role. So I guess it's kind of, I don't know, it's a funny one, really, I think.
It is. It's really hard to fix because, and either any way you do it, you're going to upset some people. Some people like being able to do these spam lists. Some people really hate it and like narrative Force Orgs. You don't really win in general. Either way you pick your poison, you're going to upset someone. I would just like personally to see, but again, you're right. It's always been the way in competitive play. There are units that are just mathematically more efficient than others, and people are going to pick them in general.
Yeah, you're right. The game is weird, isn't it? because I also agree with you saying about going thematic with the Age of Sigmar one, but then also you have that feel bads where it's like, say like the best character, your favourite character, has to come with the shittest unit. Say for example you really like Typhus but you hate Poxwalkers, and you bring Typhus, you have to then bring Poxwalkers. So I don't know, like it's all twos and fro's in it really, but I think the reality is, I think that sort of going back to the original point of the balanced data slate, and it is kind of an indicative of where the game is at the moment. Like armies didn't get internal balance, and changing one unit for some armies got internal balance and some armies didn't. It just felt very, I suppose, it felt very half-arsed, I think is the best way to put it. Like sort of, because Dave alluded to before, I mean, talk about Chaos Space Marines. Why did they spend so long internally balancing Chaos Space Marines? Because Chaos Space Marines did actually come out of it looking like they'd done a good job. Then the Codex has been announced for pre-order within days or within a very short period. So that index is going to last 3 or 4 weeks. Why did they bother investing any time into that index at all, and then ignore, say, Death Guard or Demons? Or, I mean, the real one that, to be fair, we haven't touched on, the ones who got done dirty were Imperial Knights, to be fair, because Imperial Knights got sort of drops. They got no change in their points, but the allied units that they bring in their chaff did go up in points, so they haven't freed any points to sort of put them in. So they're just losing things because their chassis are expensive. They're not being able to buy an extra unit. So say they're losing Assassin because it's gone up 10 points, but then they can't put anything else in. They're just stuck with this 90 points that you then have to completely start changing things around, and lists just look different. So I just don't know why they didn't think it out more. For example, if we're honest with Death Guard, the previous episode that we talked about some things that we would like to see change. Why didn't they looked at every Terminator in the game and then just seemed to forget that Blight Lords existed? You know what I mean? Why did Blight Lords not come down in points? Because they could have come down even a token 5 or 10 points. You probably still wouldn't take them, but at least it would have looked like there'd been something done to sort of look at the army. So I don't know. I think it's a bit of a weird one. I've seen lots of people sort of calling out in different things, and reasons why this may or may not be. But I think from Death Guard's point of view, though, we benefited from it because we didn't go up or down in our own power. The things that were a little bit above us definitely came down a bit, and the things that were way above us are still way above us. But there isn't an army that we've got a really bad game into, is there? There's no army where you look at it and it's oh, this is just unwinnable. Although maybe it's Green Tide, I don't know. But then this is where sort of you've played them, Dave. I mean, is Green Tide, is it that bad? I don't know.
Yeah, I was also going to say the other one we didn't talk about is just while we're on this subject, before I jump onto that, I guess, is Necrons as well. Given that they were pretty much sat top of the pile, and then I mean, what do you guys think about what happened with them? And then I did just want to show you this. Now I don't know if we'll show this on the chat, but I'm just going to share if I can.
You've gone a little bit quiet there, Dave. Just as a heads up, I don't know what.
Sorry, I was going to just. Is that better? Tell me if that's better.
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, good lord, what is this?
So this is a screen grab talking about skewed lists. This is an almost entirely vehicle tau list that was one of my mates sent me which was streamed on War Games Live. But I mean, have a look at that for a list that might benefit from some battle org.
Wow, I mean
that's pretty wild, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, going back to Aiden's point, that is definitely a skew. And that list probably that list probably shouldn't exist. Yeah.
No, but and also isn't. I mean, there'd be some kind of infantry in that list, right? There should be. But anyway, that was just something that whilst you were talking about that point, I was just saying it reminded me that I'd seen that picture and thought that'd be worth having a look at. But yeah. So what you guys thoughts about Necrons?
Do you want me to go first, Will, or do you want to go first?
I mean, Necrons are a tough one. The reason you have to say this, and we didn't talk about it before the podcast, are we going to address the elephant in the room and talk about one individual who I've seen called out by name on one podcast, which I think it was good that they did it because they know him. I mean, I suppose I've alluded to it now. So Josh Roberts is a lovely fella, by the way, who's one of the Team England players. He's people who've seen the Meta Watch would have known, who's been running the busted Necron list with all the wraiths. who was also, he's been brought on by Games Workshop as, you know, he's meant to be the competitive balance guy. And I play Josh, I speak to him, I always say hello to him at events, and he's a lovely guy. And I actually, I sort of would like to, I don't know if I'll get a chance to speak to him, but I don't know if it would be an uncomfortable subject so that to talk with. But I would love to know how much Games Workshop are listening to his opinion, because at the moment it does, from an optics point of view, from a visual point of view only, it does certainly look like what's happening to Josh. You could be a conspiracy theorist. I don't know what the word would be to sort of say that Josh is bending the game to make it in his own favour, which I don't think is true. If I'm honest, I want to sort of make that really clear from what I know of Josh. But the problem is the lists that did really well, the wraith coming out of it, Josh is spamming them, and all the lists that hurt Josh's list got balanced properly, like Guard being the prime example. So I've seen some sort of like conspiracy, sort of like, oh, the person who's been brought to balance it is just making it unbalanced to make sure he gets easy wins, which Josh doesn't need easy wins. Josh is a really good player. But I mean, then it comes back to, why did Necrons get left? You know, is it because they're just selling wraith kits? They want to sell wraith kits? Was it just a typo? And I suppose, I don't know. I mean, it's an odd one, is it? Because it definitely got toned down. I think we can be really honest about that. And you know, I think Necrons definitely needed it. But well, all the lists have gone up in points, like say 100 points or something. But should they have gone up 200? And why wasn't it race? And then why did they get some, you know, back to the internal balance thing? Why did they get points dropped on things like flayed ones? You know, when, you know, like there's some head scratching Eldar ones as well, which I have to touch on too. But I don't know what your guys' opinions are. I don't know if you've seen any of the conspiracy theory stuff
here? What do we do here? Okay, I'll go off. Right, so just caveat this before I go ahead. Do I think Josh is manipulating the game to his advantage? No, I don't think he needs to. He's good enough as a player. He'd beat my ass with any army, chances are. Okay. And the other question then that responds is, how exactly what you said, Will. How much influence does Josh have? Just because you're brought in to do a job and you are consulted for your opinion on stuff doesn't mean you're always going to get listened to. Josh could sit there and be like, this needs broken, this is bullshit, fix it, and they could go, yeah, but we really like selling those wraith kits. So the reality is, we're never going to know. Is it a bad look at the moment for him? Yeah, it's kind of a bad look, won't lie. It does look weird. Again, I'm not saying that he is doing it or that he is. I don't believe he is at all for a second, but it's definitely not a good look. And I'm allowed to say that because it does look like you just nerfed everyone else. Like, basically, if you were the person to build those conspiratorial mindsets, you could 100% look at this and build yourself an argument for it. 100%. The problem I have is the fact that there is flat out just straight bullshit coming out of it, because you nerf Technomancers, admittedly 25 points per Technomancer. That's a quite big change. Technomancers are not the problem. The problem is the wraiths and the Technomancer going into the wraiths. If Technomancers were that strong, you'd be seeing them in like squads of models and stuff, but you don't, do you? So the problem is not the Technomancer, it's the units attaching to, which is the wraiths. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you're still going to see 18 wraiths. My other problem with this is that the wraith list is a huge negative play experience. Some armies just can't deal with that, and it's just game over from the get-go. And not only is it game over, it's one of the most miserable games of your life. It's not fun. It's just not a fun game. So as GW and as a balanced person, that's something you have to take into account. You can have technically an army that can be beaten, but we've seen armies nerfed before because they're just so miserable to go against. No one likes it, so they've been fixed. So, but again, that's just the wraiths. Doomstalkers didn't get touched. Doomstalkers are bullshit.
Yeah.
Overwatch on 5s with full rerolls in Canoptek Court with the weapon that they've got. Horrendous to deal with on Overwatch. Didn't get touched at all. All the Katana's got nerfs, but again, his own list. Again, I'm not saying he's doing this, but again, it's just feeding into the idea of being a bad look. It only really got the Technons touched it. It just feels bad. I think maybe a Plasmancer or two. Like Xeris went up a little bit, but really, you look at the same list, because there's literally one I can pull it up now actually, at the event this weekend. There's a fellow who's running Canoptek Court, and he's basically got the exact same Josh Roberts list. I just think he's had to drop one of the full Immortal squads to a 5-man, so it's 3 5-mans instead.
Right.
But everything else is there. Triple Canoptic Doomstalker, triple Wraiths. The list is still functionally the same. Josh can still take that list to events and still absolutely dome people with it. And if he does continue to do so, that's going to obviously make the situation look even worse. Again, he'd dome you on whatever he played, not going to lie. But it's just really confusing, because it's either Josh, because when I spoke to Josh, he said that he was playing it because he wanted to highlight that Necrons are a problem even without Catans. That's what he said to me. I'm taking it to the events because I'm trying to prove a point that this thing is bullshit and needs fixing. So they've either, and this is what I believe what's happened, because I have no reason to believe that he would lie about telling me that, is that GW basically is just listened to him, gone, cool, okay. Yeah, what did he just say again? I don't know. And they just ignored him completely. I'm not sure, but it's just weird. Like, when you see balanced slates come out, you want to see a bit of a shuffle up in the game, a bit of a mix up. Necrons could have been mid power for a data slate or something, but instead it's not. And the worst bit is, not only have they not really come down in power level, the list that you're going to see, the misery list of 18 wraiths, it's not going anywhere. And you're still going to run into it, and you're still going to hate your life when you run into it. And that's my big issue with it. So really, it's not a Josh Roberts thing at all. I don't think he's doing it on purpose or anything, but there's no way someone can sit there and say to me, no, wraiths weren't the problem, it was the techno. No, it's not, it's the fucking wraiths. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, rant over.
No, it's good. I think it's worth kind of talking about, and it's interesting because for the factions top of the pile, there's no reason for it not to still be there, really. I think post this data slate,
it is still
which is and I know they've said, well, we're going to do this one is going to be points, and every 6 months it'll be, so the next one is the one where there'll be some changes. But that's what's that, twice a year?
Twice a year,
for a rules change.
4 points a year, 2 rules.
But if points like in this one don't make a dent to the top faction of it, and then you've got to wait, that, let's pretend that happened right last time. So effectively we've had, from the previous data slate to this data slate, nothing's really affected Necrons, and it's another 3 months before any rules changes came, and if something comes in there at that point, that's going to be 9 months of them kind of sitting at that spot pretty much.
And at which point, why are we even bothering with the points updates? If points updates come out and change so little in the game, which it genuinely feels like they've done, like if you're one of those mid table armies, nothing's changed for you. If you're one of the top armies, you've just got to side grade a bit. If you're a bottom army like Imperial Knights, you're still screwed. What was the point of having it? Like, genuinely,
it's supposed to be called a balanced data slate for a reason, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Including the name. If it doesn't change balance,
the other issue I have is
it's definitely a bit more balanced.
They like to live off data, don't they?
Yeah. And data is eternally skewed in this game.
And I understand your desire to want data before you make changes, but some things, mega knobs, you don't need data for. You can just look at it and go, 150 points for 5 of those guys might be a bit much, guys.
Ridiculous.
For 15 of them, because that's what people are going to say.
15 of them's less than a quarter of your list. What? Are you insane? You take that in Bully Boys, add some characters, cool, I've stuck 1,300 points to put in, as well as all that. It's and the problem, again, there'll be ways to deal with it, and I know that, but there's gonna be a real rough period where people shall I mention the weekly stats very quickly, because it is relevant to what we're
go on, this is
about.
probably a good time to throw them in, because
and also we were talking about this is a good segue as well into the being able to have a list that can do, it can't do that and that.
Yeah. So first week stats are in from the competitive scene Meta Monday articles. So remember, this is only 1 week of results, but it can be telling of what we're about to get looking forward. So orcs obviously hit the scene, a big point. Now orcs currently have a 55% overall win rate. Now don't be deceived by that, because there are a lot of orc players that are still bringing orcs with really dumb stuff. This can be showed because Dreadmob had a 26% win rate this weekend. So, but if we look at the more competitive angles of the lists, Bully Boys are currently sitting at a 59% win rate, and Green Tide are sat at a 67% win rate, and this is also no mirrors removed, so technically it could be 1 or 2% higher. So having a detachment with a 67% win rate is kind of wild, especially convinced that now it is the first week of it, So people have to adjust, but at the same time, having so much success rapidly with a detachment points to one of two things. Either one, the detachment is incredibly overpowered, or two, the detachment is incredibly easy to play. And I think this could potentially be a mixture of the two. I don't think it's not overbearingly overpowered, but it's so dumb. You just slap 3 pain boys in 120 boys and run across the board. Your opponent just pulls out his little notebook and it has a little tick on a cross box and it says, "Can I deal with this?"
You just play cleanse and engage, and
and you score 100 and you're like, "Cool, I lost because I couldn't kill it."
Well, you can.
Well, yeah, we'll see about that. There's ways to kill it. If you want to just go to an event and ruin every green tide, you can do it.
But that's probably mostly what you're going to be ruining, because you're going to need to tech to it.
Yeah, and Bully Boys having, like I said, 59% win rate. Interestingly, at the event that I've got coming up this weekend, there are 4 Orc players, only 1 green tide, but 3 Bully Boys, which I thought Bully Boys would be more. I said in the Chaos Pantheon, Dara and Thingy disagreed with me. They think Green Tide will be more popular. I said I think it's going to be Bully Boys just because the buy-in is much lower. So I know it's only one event, but as we all know, this one event is factual. This is representative of the world. So suck it, Dara, and suck it, Dave. I was correct.
And that's 4 out of how many players, Aiden?
That is 4 out of... how many is your event again, Will? Is it 56 or something?
58 or 56.
58
it's a lot for an
RTT.
RTT,
So it's not horrendous just yet, but 4 players is still on the upper end of representation factions at that event. But again, Orcs looking really good. So first week, everyone's still learning the book, already at a 55% win rate from every detachment together on average. Yeah. But Bully Boys at 59, Green Tide at 67. Those are worrying numbers, I won't lie.
I think
Necrons? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I mean, I think Bully Boys will be the better. I think Green Tide might be what some people can pivot into quickly, because let's be honest, if you know anyone who plays Orcs, everyone I know who plays Orcs has like 200 boys. It just seems, because in previous editions there was lists that had that. In the same way I've got 90 Plague Bearers, do you know what I mean? Like, I'll never be able to field 90 Plague Bearers a game, but, 200 boys.
You can dream, Will.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. But I think Green Tide is something that might be able to pick off the shelf quicker for some Orc players. Maybe it's not others, but it seems like, from what I can see, it seems like...
I think what you said is correct. Well, I think if you're a dedicated Orc player already, you have 120 boys. But I think if you're a meta chasey kind of person, or, the Orc book looks fun, you want to get into it, I think those players will probably go for the Bully Boys.
Well, Bully Boys seems like there might be some more player skill in there as well. Like, Green Tide seems like it might be more... You're making an assumption your opponent can't deal with it, whereas Bully Boys still have tools to deal damage as well.
If you get Bully Boys on the list and you're running 120 boys, you're laughing and you're like... Gonna test all your vehicles. There you go. They're all tied up. Enjoy.
But then again, it could be 6 Gladiator Reapers,
or it could be 18 Dashard Terminators.
Foreshadowing. But
go on. Sorry, guys. No.
I was sorry to just quickly go over the ones. So Necrons had a 49% win rate. Now, Necron win rate has always been misleading. Necrons are sort of like Death Guard sometimes with win rate, and Space Marines. We were starter box armies, so there's a lot of people that have a Necron army that aren't particularly not good at the game, I mean to say, but like they're not.
Yeah, they've got tons of reps into that army. Yeah. They don't know it inside out. Yeah,
exactly. But if you look at the stats of someone that plays a lot of events with the Necron book on something like stat check, if you look at their stuff, they obviously, there is a big difference between people who like casually go to events and go to a lot with Necrons, but still 49%, still really strong up there. Space Wolves weirdly at a 67% win rate, could just be a really weird fluke, but they are supposed to be quite strong from what I've seen. Grey Knights had the most event wins of the weekend, and a 57% weekend win rate. Again, we talked about this. They nerfed the baby carriers but dropped other stuff, so all they're going to do is maybe just side grade a baby carrier to some infantry. No real change to the power of the list, so they're going to stay on top. Custodies have actually like fallen off the face of the planet down to 40% win rate.
That was a bit.
I think that's definitely I think that's a mix of not only just of people that were playing it kind of a bit more top of competitive dropped it, but I think even a lot of die-hard Custodies players for the meantime have probably decided I'm going to play something else for a bit.
Yeah, but those are the big takeaways of the weekend. generally, we're still seeing, like, if I just quickly scroll down, the top sort of placing stuff, Necrons, Grey Knights, Guard, still can see the odd Blood Angel going 4-1, some guy went CSM at 5-0, but, well done, enjoy that for a week.
Yeah, definitely.
Orcs, Grey Knights, 2 Spaces, one eventless, so maybe there's something there, who knows. Again, Orcs again, Grey Knights, Sisters still up there. Sisters, though, I do believe have a skill floor that you have to reach. Sisters can be quite hard to play, unlike boys spam. Thousand Sons still popping up as well.
Sisters in 1K take a lot of skill. I think
Sons are incredibly powerful. They are ridiculously strong. Yeah. However, they are not only hard to play, but I genuinely mean it when I say this. One mess up, your game's done.
Yeah.
Like, you can be punished so hard because again, it's a knock-on effect. Lose Cabal points. Lose. Well,
I played the other game I played. Sorry, I should have said at the beginning was I played Paul Bridge, the Thousand Sons coach of Vanguard Tactics. I drove up to Peterborough and had a game with him, and we had a really good game. I think it ended up 84-92 to him or something. But that was the shenanigans like that list does. Like in his last in the last turn, I'd almost tabled him. Like, Magnus was dead. Like, loads of my stuff was dead. Like, I had mostly kind of tanks and things left. And he had a unit with I'm going to get the name of the unit wrong, but like some kind of sorcerer attached to some rubrics. And I was like, right, we were playing Purge phase. I was kill more. I'm like, right, I'm going to mortar that unit off. And then I had Assassinate, and I'm going to finish off your last character. Mortared the unit off. Took the character to like 2 wounds left. Like, just didn't get the roll that I needed. But because the character then became free of the unit, that then enabled the character to do a move, another move, and then with Cabal points, a triple move. And it went from the kind of ruin near his home, like deployment zone, onto my home objective. And because I didn't think that was never going to be possible, and I'd sticky objectives, I'd moved if I just towed my Plagueblast Crawler onto it, I would have maintained OC control. But I was like, why would I need to do that? I've killed everything else. And this thing just went boop, zoom, boop, spend those last 2, boop, and that's mine. I was like, wow. But like, going back to skill cap as well, watching Paul play it and knowing what he's doing, and he's been playing like Thousand Sons for so long, you can see that you need to know that thing inside out to be really effective with it and to be that good. So I totally agree on that, but that's definitely one to watch as well. They should be a bit of a boogeyman in it, and even playing Stephen recently as well, you can see that Sisters can field in one list a ton of firepower and a ton of melee. In that list really easily. Like, you're not really, it's one of the most, I think, the ability to field both without skewing too heavily one way or the other of all the armies out there.
They do die though. They do die.
They die very easily.
I will say though, to caveat the negativity there, Death Guard are still showing up. We've got no Death Guard event wins, but we're still getting like 4-1s, 5-1. So Death Guard still have play. I'll not deny that. I think Death Guard is still in a good place. I think the annoyance that myself and probably Will are having is just like, again, it's just the expectation of a balance update to sort of mix things up, whereas really I feel like it's overall not actually done anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually quite happy that my list didn't change, because I thought Carnivores were going to go up by 10 points, and so yeah, I was really happy that it didn't. But I think for Chaos Knights internally, I think Carnivores are a bit cheaper. No one else takes them as allies. They're only really cheap when the allies attach, because Brigands offset them. Chaos Knights, the big one, should have come down. I think, Chaos Knights are a fact. If they're really going to balance it, Carnivores should go up a bit. Brigands should maybe go down 5 points. I don't know, they're funny. It's their allies are where they're a problem, but the big ones need to come down quite a lot. But if we do this for most factions, come when we start like addressing them individually, whereas we look at Death Guard, we talked about our Terminators and things like that. But it's just weird, But you talked there about Thousand Sons. I was going to say Sisters obviously just took out one of the really big super mages. Was Vic Vijay.
Yeah,
took out the last UKTC with them. But Thousand Sons, I'd heard through the grapevine. I mean, actually, a couple of lads from our team went up being mercenaries at the Six Nations or whatever. I think Manny was there playing his Thousand Sons. I think he 20-0'd everyone he played. Apparently, Lee in VSL is now on Thousand Sons, and also 20-0'd everyone he played either at the same event or in other teams. So it just goes to show you what a skill player can do with that faction, even when they're coming up against like other good players,
other top players.
Yeah. So I think it sounds like Thousand Sons of these armies where the win rate won't be true of what
It
like
won't
there was
look great. Yeah.
like Eldar, like that last edition, wouldn't they? They had a bit. The win rate was like 47%, but they had more event wins than any other faction because the casual guys or the people who were learning the faction were holding them at bay.
Down,
But then they're like the two super skilled guys were like running riot with them. So I think some armies, Thousand Sons, Sisters sound very similar as well. Actually, sounds like Sisters, Thousand Sons, and who's the other one you said before there, Aiden? Sorry, there was another high skill army you'd mentioned. But
we've got Grey Knights.
Sisters, Thousand Sons, Grey Knights. There was one that we said that would be like.
Guard
we said
Necrons, Space Wolves, Blood Angels.
I think that's all right.
I mean, we said it in the podcast. To be fair, I think I just lost track. But it's at least the high skill armies when they're sort of when they in the meta and they're good. Because at least Death Guard. I think Death Guard are at a point where you don't. If you get the right matchups, going 3-2 is quite sort of realistic. Or like sit a GT, at least winning
Definitely.
2 games winning 2 or 3 games of GT. I think. For most people, that's very realistic with Death Guard. I think the push for the 4-1s and the 5-0 is where they can reward skill now, as I think is what I'm trying to say. There was a time with Death Guard where the most, Aiden and a couple of other guys being examples, you were pulling 4-1 out the bag sometimes. It was like, oh my god, someone went 4-1 with Death Guard. Like, how did that happen? Whereas now I think it's good enough that you can sort of like, it's quite achievable. Like someone I heard someone say it somewhere, they're a really good faction to get better at the game with right now because they're a good starting point, play all the phases, but if you want to sort of practice and work on things, you can improve. And I think that's quite a fair point, whereas it's not like Thousand Sons be another example where you could pick them up and you're either going to be a world beater or get beaten in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
If I took Thousand Sons to an event now, I would fully expect to win one game. And just not understand why it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. Whereas obviously, like we saw before, Manny and Lee and VSL go in, them taking them, it's a completely different thing when they're looking across the table at you. But what other factions are doing well then, or?
Dave, something to say, Dave?
No, I was going to just say, just talking about orcs, and I just thought, staying on the Death Guard theme there for a bit, I'll just give a quick couple of minutes on my experience into Green Tide, given that we just talked about that and their position in it. So what I will say is I did build a list which I thought would most mess up Green Tide in a game, and I was playing versus a guy at my club who was able to field a complete, like, really nice Green Tide army. We played Dawn of War. It was mission 1. We rolled a d6 for random mission from the UKTC pack. That's what I do with all my opponents at club, and then we played that map on that, so that's what we got. And obviously he had 120 boys on the table, a battle wagon, some mega knobs, there was a couple of pain boys, there was a weird boy in one group, and I took 2 plague burst crawlers, 3 units of 6 Death Shroud Terminators, 2 with Lord of Virulence, 1 with Typhus, 1 unit of Nurglings, 1 unit of Cultists, what did I say? 10 Plague Marines in a Rhino, I think, and a drone, and that was it. So I was like, I think if I can get them to come out and then get the Death Shroud into them, then I think I've got tons of flamers here. I think I can probably hold it in the mid board. And basically what it turned out that happened was so I threw cultists out on the right to basically make them have to come around to kill them, because they basically OC'd the point and swamped it. I parked a Rhino on the left hand kind of natural, just a bit away from the walls. They had to come around to get that, and then the closest thing there were Mega Knobs, really. And then I put the 3 Nurglings in the middle, deliberately touching the wall to encourage the charge, and then basically had behind the centre middle 6 Death Shroud and Typhus. Behind the wall over on the right I had 6 Death Shroud and Lord of Virulence, and over on the left behind the wall I had 6 Death Shroud and another Lord of Virulence. Then a drone part behind each of the middles, and because they've only got 12-inch range on most of their guns, didn't need to hide the PVCs. So I did some harassing mortar fire onto the Weird Boy unit, and then basically put those there, and then went, okay, your turn. And basically the boys came into the middle, came onto the right, came onto the left, and I took Storm Hostile as the fixed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, he's gonna take them off me each time, and then I'm gonna take them back. Was the plan, and basically once the Death Shroud then countercharged each of those units, the Death Shroud killed 20, 20, and 20 boys in each group. And then the Meganobs on the left had pretty much died. They had one left, I think, but then in my turn in combat, first killed that, no problem. The next, then it was just like another wave of boys came in. It was like, right, well, if I can take can just bounce that one and then wipe those, that's it.
Yeah.
It's done. And because I had the -1 weapon skill, -1 ballistic skill strats, there wasn't really any shooting into anything because I was always this side of a wall. So you had to just basically come and charge into me. And then when the group in the middle went in, even though they had +1 to hit, they were -1 to hit because there was one Nurgling base still alive, and Typhus was leading the unit, so that offset his -1, +1, -1 again, and then my -1 just characteristic. And I told you guys this, and it was on our Discord, but he rolled 76 attacks into 6 Death Shroud and Typhus with a group of 20 boys, so hitting on 5s, and then basically I think then rolled the wound roll, and the wound roll came out, there was 6 went through, and then basically I just rolled 3s to saved all of them, and then the Death Shroud went back into it, and basically I spent for Sanguineous Flux and wiped them out.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to watch.
That's not the pain that's what's going to happen every time, but even on average, right, let's say I lost 2 Death Shroud in that, even the 3 and Typhus going back in after then other things being able to charge in. I mean, I didn't even, if I hadn't have had the 10 Plague Marines in the Rhino on the table, and maybe one of the drones and the PBCs, I think I still would have killed everything.
Yeah.
It was so that list was very much built to do it, but I think as Death Guard, we're in one of the, I guess more of that thing is we're in, I think, one of the better positions of factions in the game with our ability to make them hit worse in multiple areas.
Yeah.
To actually offset that, and the fact that re-rolling flamers with things like 7d6 and anti-infantry 4s, re-rolling everything, and then another d6 from the Lord of Virulence, plus drones with spitters, plus plague burst with spitters. Like, he charged a unit of boys round a corner to come into the back of the mid objective and lost 11 of them in Overwatch. Like, nice. That was a high roll obviously on that, but like it suddenly meant there was then 9 boys, and I was like, okay, cool, well that's no longer a worry.
Not scary. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think you put a good point, especially, but it does come into the argument of like, I think Death Guard are going to solidify. Like, Death Guard were already solidified in teams events as being really staple to take because it doesn't really have any horrific blowout matchups and it can stand up to anything. But now having probably one of the strongest matchups when tailored for against Green Tide is probably going to make us even more staple in a teams format to be like an orc answer. How that translates to singles is obviously a different question. Singles, you don't know what you're going to go against.
This is the problem. Yeah.
And there's as much chance you get Iron Stormers, there's as much chance you get Orcs. So you prepare too much one way, you could risk getting skewed out the other. But at the same time, I don't think it's like, for example, like I'll sit here and say I don't like Orcs currently. I don't like how they seem to be in the meta. But it's not just because when I look at the game, I try not to look at it from Death Guard perspective. I know I probably should. For us, I think we genuinely have answers. Like, yep. I've got double plague caster plague bus, so I'm looking forward to hopefully running to Bully Boys tomorrow, dropping Gazgul to a 1-inch move with -4 to advance and charge. It's going to be real funny.
And probably doing a load of wounds.
Yeah, I'll doing a lot of damage to them, which is going to be funny, but at the same time, like, I am aware there are armies out there that just can't do anything to this, and it's not fun for them. Like, if you're playing like what, Dark Eldar, can't do anything to 120 boys.
I think Tao's going to get effed by it as well.
Yeah, Tao's going to be... especially if the Orc player gets first
Tau
turn.
Not just rinse it off the board if they can see it.
No. If the Orc player gets first turn,
to shoot like 60 shots or something.
They'll shoot a lot, but they'll get 1 turn. That's it. And then the Orcs on top of them, and then
they're going to be on top of them, and they're going to get mullered.
It's if Tau get first turn, it's more interesting. But but again, it's one of the... I don't like armies that are like, hey, if I get first, you're just fucked.
The World Eaters, again,
World Eaters can...
They go first, just that thing where just in them, they're just... Because they've got for days on some of their units.
It could do... Has it got... I mean, it could do it. I guess it's a case of, does it kill for how many units World Eaters get? It will definitely kill the first wave, but does it survive the next lot back with enough models left to finish off the game?
Dara feels very confident into Green Tide, but not very confident into Bully Boys, I believe. Because Bully Boys can genuinely just bounce him with the Feel No Pain, and then the attacks back will probably kill the thing that charged them. But against Green Tide, like, they can just go, like, double Master of Executions, big squad to 10 Berserkers, pop sustained hits for the turn, and just, like, mow a shit ton of boys down. So there are armies that do have answers, like, but again, I feel like there's going to be a lot of games that are won because the Orc player put down 120 boys and ran at you, and there's going to be some people that just can't do anything. And if that exists, it also really like chokes like list diversity, especially if it becomes really popular, because the first thing you have to do when you make your list is, okay, how do I deal with the boys? And
I mean,
the only other thing that's not fun with that list is you can screen it, but as soon as if you start committing stuff in the wrong place, it can screw up. Is jump. The moment they drop, the moment that on a 2-up, that goes anywhere within 9 inches of something. This is where stuff like your engage and cleanse, just gameplay player plan just goes meh. Okay, cool. I don't really care what I start losing. I can just do that for the rest of the.
Yeah, because the thing is, the boys don't have to kill you. They do. The Orc player does not have to kill you. It can score 100 by just getting 20 boys across 2 objectives. They cleanse, and everything else just
out primes you because you can't see it.
You can't always see it. It's going to run into your quarters, so it can do like engage passively. Has a Gretchen scored in each of a corner. There you go. Max engage, max cleanse. 100 points incoming.
I suppose
so it's going to be interesting.
The question with Green Tide isn't a new archetype though. Is the weird thing, isn't it? It's just a return. For example, Gaunt. We never saw in the UK Gaunt Carpet.
You've not seen 120
like
boys recently, right?
It was the start of 8th. People were spamming it, weren't there? Was it not? But who's the guy who got? I mean, we're not affiliated with. Who's the guy who got kicked off Art of War again? Because he broke his NDA. Was it not the start of 8th? Bradchester was winning events by just taking 200 boys and just like points counting to sort of get tabled at a point where he'd won the game regardless. I'm sure that was a thing, right? You know, and it was that like weird kind of
high skill way to win a game.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. It's the points count as well that makes it weird.
Yeah, it's super tough. Yeah,
but we'll see. Like 5-1 rerolling ones is new.
Yeah,
and 5-up Feel No Pain on top of that can make them annoying. But again,
that's the problem, isn't it? 2 damage is your friend.
Yeah.
In that instance,
they are just 1 more model, so 2 damage will help kill them quite effectively. So, start brushing off some, like maybe start bringing a couple more Death Shroud along. I'm going to see how it goes with not having to skew too hard into it for now. But we'll see. Again, 1 week of data. We've got to see how it goes.
It's only a first week.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's about volume of players as well. There's how many people just will jump on this into competitive is the other question. Because if they take up a small percentage of the total players, that's you definitely don't want to go anywhere near thinking about what am I going to do if I run into Green Tide.
Yeah,
but I think it's going to does it become a threshold? I think it will be too.
I think it will be common.
Because Green Tide, I think Green Tide will have more skill to it than you think. Because I remember listening to a podcast where it was, I can't forget his name. It's one of the Australian guys talking about running Gaunt Carpet, and he'd said there was more skill to run the list. He said people tried to copy it, no one could do what he was. No one could replicate the skill in the interview. He was saying like points counted work how many guns a hard rate of fire, and he'd run all the guns around the edge of the board out of line of sight, and then he'd count until turn 3, keep this whatever score he knew, and then he'd bring them all in when he knew they just didn't have enough guns to mathematically kill the gaunts left, and that's when he'd just stand there.
So I would agree with you, but the problem is the Orc Green Tide is so different to Endless Swarm. Endless Swarm is tricksy horde. It's lots of movement tricks, lots of things like that. But it's very squishy, it dies. Green Tide is brainless horde. Everything is a 5-up invulnerable. You can get 3 full squads of a 5-up Feel No Pain, rerolling 1s on all these saves. You don't, and your T5 compared to Gaunt's T3, you don't have to use a fraction of the brain power that you was required. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still plays that the good players will be able to make. But the problem is it's the skill floor, skill ceiling. The skill ceiling is probably still quite high. But the problem is the skill floor is going to be really low at the moment because again, you're gonna. I feel like if you take Green Tide and you're semi-competent at the game, you're almost guaranteed 3-2. I can't see you not getting 3-2.
It's also why we're good into it is because we made them T4.
Yes, that also helps massively on the offs, and also anti-infantry just cares not.
The anti-infantry. Yeah. So is that,
I don't
is that
care
what
what
you?
toughness you are.
So just spamming flamers is how you. I suppose Death Shroud gets you are right, Dave. On the
that list I had 21, but just in Death Shroud had 21 flamers, 14 of those re-rolling because of Lord of Virulences, and they were anti-infantry 4-ups. I had 2 drones, so that's another 4d6 anti-infantry 2-up. I had 2 plebiscites with another 4d6 anti-infantry 2-up. The Lord of Virulences was another 2d6 anti-infantry 2-up. I had a unit of Plague Marines with a Plague Spewer anti-infantry 2-up, a Plague Belcher, which is anti-infantry 4-up, but is 0 AP. The 2 Plague Casters, so whilst not anti-infantry, is still 2 more Torrent weapons. So that list had all of that, and also the Foul Blight Spawns sprayer as well.
Yeah.
So there was something like 34, 35 flamers in that list, but it was just the Death Shroud that did it. They were just like, it was a weight of attacks, 24 attacks hitting on 2s. If you pop Sanguinish, you're getting exploding 6s, and they're strength 8, so you make them -1 toughness, so you're wounding on 2s, it's 2 damage, so the feel no pains are always going wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, you make the occasional one, which is great, but you're just giving them that extra chances for it to go wrong. Then the Lord of Virulence in combat is 2 damage, so they're -1 toughness again, you're wounding on 2s again. Yes, it's only 5 attacks, but it's 2 damage each. Typhus going in, that's another 3 damage attacks, so they're failing for feel no pains, and that's what was really, really doing them in.
I think that the last thing I'll probably say on it, for my side, because I can't stand for too long tonight, is that basically, I think if orcs become as prevalent as like custodians, and like orcs become as strong as they are, I'm gonna buy 12 more Death Shrouds. I only own 6. I know, don't shoot me. And I'm just going to start doing what I was doing against custodians, where I'm just going to go to events to ruin orc players' days.
I think if you're known for doing that to custodians players, I'm going to do it to orcs. I think.
Yeah, let's just become the anti-orc brigade. Just be like, target spotted, get out of here. Single-handedly dropping the orc winner. The anti-orc podcast, but it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be. Giving you like you said about timing. Yeah, should we talk 5K?
Yeah,
oh God, yeah.
So as people know, might not know, we have just hit 5,000 subscribers, which is kind of mental. Good job, everyone.
That was to our community, by the way, not just us modestly saying, "Oh, well done, guys." Yes, thanks.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So good. it is kind of wild because like when me and Will started this, and obviously Dave joined it later. We were just like, "Hey, should we do this thing?" And even if like 10 guys listen, that'd be kind of cool. And now here we are at 5,000 subscribers, and now we make YouTube videos as well. It literally used to just be like black and white artwork, me and Will on the worst quality mics ever.
Yeah.
So it's come a long way, which is quite cool. Now obviously Dave's here with us now. It's a trilobe, which is quite fitting, which is lovely to have you here. But yeah, we obviously want to do something to celebrate 5K. We're open to suggestions, so please do feel free to leave any suggestions in the chat, sort of the comment section below. Also, second reminder to hit the like and subscribe button, just saying. Yes. So we're open to any suggestions you guys have. Last time we did this was 4K, and I took a list that the members created for me, and it was awful. But we managed to go 2-1 with it at an RTT. It was a funny list. It was terrible. Like all bolt gun plague marines with a plague surgeon. So I'm willing to do something like that again. Hell, if you really want to, I can borrow a Custodes army, even with the new terrible rules. I will play Custodes at an event, and we'll have an actual episode of the Golden Xenos podcast.
Yeah, that could actually be really funny.
So that'd be quite funny, because then we can actually trick the Custodes players to thinking this is a legit channel and they'll actually subscribe to us and get baited. You guys have suggestions for your own forfeits? I know Will came up with a banging one for Dave. Do you want to explain what yours could be, Dave?
Yeah, no, I think Will came up with a really good one. So as anyone knows from either the video about looking in my cabinet or anything else, I don't paint anything. I don't build anything. So what Will suggested, I think is a really, really good idea, is the community can choose, and I will paint a model, and I'll make a video diary about it and upload it about how unbelievably bad I am at doing it, and what an awful process it was. And then I will put that model into a list at an RTT and take it, or to a GT and take it with me. So I'm willing to do that for you guys to show you how amazingly poor I probably am at painting.
I think we have to level it up a little bit more than that, I think they've got to pick the model. Like I say, they've got to pick the model and give their story why. I think that has to be part of the judging. They have to also say the paint scheme that it has to be. So I think they can pick, because he's a standout model. He can be painted as a clown if he wants to be. And then the model that they pick, I think he, like you say, he has to then lead your army. So I think it kind of puts us into a character. So it could be a Viridian model, I guess, or it could be. So I think that could be quite fun. You know, I'd love to see a tartan plague surgeon or something like that. And then I suppose I said I'd do a forfeit. So I think because I'm my wacky lists are sort of. It might just be a normal list, it might just be pointless making me a wacky list. So I'll do a forfeit. So I don't know, I'll either wear something silly or do something silly. For example, Aiden said I should maybe shout the war.
We think we should call the war turn 2.
Unannounced, completely. Don't tell his opponent. Just look his opponent in the eyes and go, I'm going to declare the war, and then do the full scream so the whole hall can hear him. And then everyone's just like, why does the Death Guard play a war? I think that could be really funny.
Anything really.
And he has to record it as well. I will record him doing it as well. So he's got to let me know when he's going to do it, and I'll record him.
There you go. Anything silly. I just don't want to eat anything weird. I'll do anything apart from eating something weird. There you go. I don't mind.
That's fine.
Don't mind sort of wearing something weird. Don't mind doing something weird. So maybe it's a UKTC. Maybe it's something where there has to be a few people in the hall. Maybe I'll do something stupid.
What, LGT,
like,
you mean?
What's that? So, oh yeah. Yeah, you know, maybe I'll do a streak wearing, I don't know, a Nurgling plushie or something, I don't know.
Wear a reporter outfit and like have a thing on your thing that says like conspiracies exposed and a fake microphone, and go up to Josh Roberts mid-game and be like, the rumour's true that you are using the balanced data slate to win this event.
God, that'd be awful.
I'm only joking, Josh. I'm only joking, mate.
No,
I promise you. I don't believe that for a second.
We don't think that. So I think that's pretty good. And then, Aiden, do you want to talk about a couple of the bits we thought about the plague surgery, for example, and what that might mean?
So again, let us know if you guys have any suggestions for those forfeits, challenges, whatever for 5k. But we also want to try and sort of give something back to the members. So if you're a paying member, we're thinking about opening the plague surgery to celebrate the 5k subs. So what this will be is there'll be a channel on the Discord made for it. You guys can post inside there. You can either give us like the following information, so you can maybe have like a local meta dilemma that you're having, or you have a list idea or like thematic idea that you want to put together but you're not sure how to do it, certain units you want to bring. You can tell us if you're open to buying more models, if you're not, if you want to use your collection. And basically you describe whatever you want in there, or your dilemma. Like I said, if you're in a meta full of melee and you don't know what to do, and me, Dave, and Will go away, we will make a list based off what you have said. We will come back, we will do a live stream all about your dilemma, and we'll talk about it, and the chat can interact, and we can sort of discuss like what we think would be a good list for you. Sort of like a fix my list, but a bit more thematic, sort of like the plague surgery. So that could be quite cool to do, and we're hoping that will be something you guys would also be interested in, and also give you a bit more reward for becoming a member and, you know, supporting us in that way. Just an extra something that you can potentially get given. We're also going to give away the painted typhus that Dave put up on the community tab on YouTube. So I'm going to do an event recap for this event coming this weekend. So when I do the event recap, we will announce the winner in that live. So, you know, tune in for that to make sure if you've won. Again, don't worry if you can't make it. You're not going to I'm not going to be like, you didn't tune in live, you're not getting your typhus. You will still get your typhus, but it's just it's kind of cool to be like, ooh, am I going to get it? So that'll be coming. We'll be doing another giveaway soon as well for the channel, so look forward to that. Any other things for 5k, guys?
I was going to just say, Will, do you want to talk about your idea about getting some more specialists in?
Yeah, so I think it'd be nice to get some more specialists in. So maybe it's not even specialists who necessarily play Death Guard as well. For example, we could. I mean, I gave the example of Liam VSL. For example, I know he's on the Thousand Suns at the moment, and saying to these guys at the start, yeah, I know, screw you, Liam. Although to be fair, I think he jumped on Death Guard, hadn't he? So I think he's one of these players where we should be honoured that he graced us with his player skill. But yeah, I think the idea is maybe to get some of these guys in, because, you know, Thousand Suns being a prime example. I know there's a few good players, but there isn't necessarily as much dedicated Thousand Suns players. You know, it seems when they do really well, it's when the meta players follow them. And obviously there are a few, you know, like the Vanguard tactics, you know, coaches and things like that as well, and also the people who run the channel that Aiden does a Pantheon with. But maybe get them in, you know, talk about what they're doing with their lists, you know, how their list works. Maybe we can ask some questions from a point of view of an opponent's point of view, then pick their brains about what they would do if they saw a Death Guard player playing against them, you know, what they'd hate the Death Guard player to do. So it could be a specific player, or it could be just a general, you know, if someone's talking about a faction in general. You know, we'll get like a a faction specialist, and then obviously, you know, members can influence the people we get on, and then also, you know, ask us questions to ask them. And also, like Aiden said, you know, it could be that there's a specific list that maybe is a net list that's running riot, you know, like an Iron Storm list. Maybe it isn't something that you want to make it specific about your list. It could be, you know, how would you play it, and then me, Dave, and Aiden could answer with our individual list that we're running at the time, how we would play into it and our tactics. You know, just to make it a bit more general and kind of get you guys involved in the content a bit more. But I mean, obviously we're always trying to get better at the game. I mean, as we say, you know, I, for example, still don't know that you can't kill a war dog and just bring it back on for free. But I mean, if I did want to get better, Aiden and Dave, you know, where would I go to learn that these things can't happen?
Will.
Getting good at this, Will.
Well, I think you know, that probably ties in nice to what I said at the beginning about having travel down to see somebody called Vanguard Tactics, who have masterclasses, academies, and ways to get better at the game. And you can find a referral link in the description of this video, can't you, Aiden?
Yes, you can. We have an affiliate link with them. You can sign up for all sorts of things, one-to-one coaching, all the way to starting to learn to play Warhammer 40k.
Who does Death Guard coaching for Vanguard Tactics, Aiden?
You know what? I wouldn't actually recommend him. He's a bit of a dick. Yeah, he's not great, to be honest. I paid for him once. He looked in the mirror and he just kind of had this look of disgust on his face, and you know, it's.
I heard
weird,
he won't put Chaos Knights in a list, so I'm not interested.
I heard all he does is spend the whole 2 hours talking about how he beat up a Custodes player. I am the coach for Vanguard Tactics Death Guard, so if you're interested in getting some one-to-one coaching, you can inquire at that, and you will get signed up possibly with myself, which is most likely if you're playing Death Guard. And that could be cool, so check that out as well. But you know what's really also helpful for remembering that your war dog is dead, Will? Certain in-game tools to remind you that certain units are potentially dead. Helpful. And also, if you are going to resurrect a dead war dog that should actually be dead and not actually come back to life, but you are bringing it back, it's important to mark out that you can only come in from reinforcements 9 inches away from your opponent. And you might want a tool to do that. Where could we find such a tool, I wonder? Potentially with logos representing this whole podcast to show your affiliation and support?
Don't know.
Got it, Will. Saltire Games, our sponsor, who actually do a full set of gaming aids, including a 9-inch deep strike marker with our lovely logo on, and you can support the channel with the link in the description below and use the promo code NERGLE to get 10% off your order and give a little bit of kickback to the channel. And I just want to say, it makes me so proud when I go on Saltire Games and see all the recent reviews of that one product. Just saying, good work, guys. But you know what also is just as good as leaving a positive review on Saltire Games for our product? Leaving a like and subscribe for the third time on this one.
We finally remembered to do it regularly through the thing.
And comment, and even if you can't think of anything to comment, just comment War Dog Will. Yeah. Let us all know that you made it to the end of the podcast. Just comment War Dog Will, no context.
Get some W's in the chat for War Dog Will.
If I see a single War Dog Will because someone's listened to the entire podcast and they're like, you know what, I'll do it for you boys, I'll be very happy.
Well, there should be lots of comments on this one. People giving their ideas, you know, because obviously members' comments will be the ones that'll have the influence of what we do. But you can still comment, you know, generally below in the video below if there's something you think. Of course, you know, if it's that good that we actually do it, we might even gift you a membership as a thank you for doing it. Or of course, you know, if you want to sort of get, you know, like Aiden said before,
let me pay you to pay me.
if your idea is really good, just become a member and then we'll listen to it anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
True. Very true.
Anything anyone else wants to sign off with, guys?
No, I think I'm good. I'm going to be on the Red Path soon again.
Awesome.
For a little video on there, so do check it out, guys, and check out the Chaos Pantheon chat. We also have found our Chaos Demon and CSM player potentially now, so more faces next time, which should be quite interesting.
Yeah, and I will tease that I'm trying to secure us a special guest from a particularly large 40k bat rep. Thing that's not Vanguard, that I think we might be close to being able to get as a guest on the show, so more on that one next time as well.
Times.
And I suppose the other thing I just want to mention, because we dropped it sort of, you know, in passing before about how the Chaos Spaceman Codex coming out, is a bit annoying with the index. But do want to, obviously there's a few people who probably play Chaos Space Marine, you can ally and Plague Marine, so to our brothers in arms, we hope your codex is good, and when it comes out we'll obviously be doing some content around it, and probably more from how Death Guard might play into it, but we'll be looking a lot more favourably than other ones, because like I say, you are fighting the good fight, shall we say.
Keep the long war going.
But don't worry, I will be here to give my salt and my bitch and moaning about it. I'm like, this is bullshit. This is freaking 30 legionnaires and 60 cultists in my face. Turn one. What is this? But no, we were here to support you. Long live chaos. But yeah, I think we're all good then, guys. Shall I give you little sign-offs?
No, thank you very much. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Yep, thanks guys, and thank you again for helping get us to 5k, and we look forward to making more content for you. Like, subscribe.
Got it in 4 times. Yeah, thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Thank you so much for 5k. Stay rotten and like and subscribe.
And like and subscribe, because then that
just in case you forgot. Yes, nice.
Like and subscribe. Right, see you the next one, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, like and subscribe.